Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of Create with Us. My name is Taylor Sklenar. I'm a playwright and poet and a current student in the MFA in Creative Writing and Environment program here at Iowa State. And I'll be guiding you through this session. So today we're going to go through a couple of prompts to get you writing in the playwriting genre. So one of the things that makes playwriting and theater in general unique is that it's live. It is not something that is necessarily a final product on the page, but rather a final product when it's on the stage, and it's interactive with the audience. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're pulling audience members up on stage, but there's a give and take and always a listening going on with audience members. It's also material. There's something physically happening in front of you when you go to see a play. There's a whole world that is tangible. And there's a certain suspension of disbelief in that process that doesn't always exist in the same way in other genres. So with that in mind, we're going to jump into our first prompt here to get you thinking about character. And as I go through this, I'll kind of give you time to write and do the activities that I'm describing. But if I'm moving too fast, you can always pause and sort of catch up as need be. Don't think too hard about all of this. The idea is just to be generating and getting stuff out. So the first thing that you'll want to do is break out either a piece of paper or possibly a Word document. I know you're probably viewing this on a computer, so that may be more accessible to you right now. But I tend to think that a piece of paper works best for this, because what we are going to do is draw horizontal and vertical lines to make a 10 by 10 grid. Again, you might be able to use a Word document and just break out a grid that way. But you want to make sure that you have 100 spaces there, 10 by 10. And I'll give you just a minute here to kind of get that set up. Now, once you have your 10 by 10 grid, the next thing you'll do is you want to pick 7 of those spaces at random, and you're going to write a noun in each of those spaces. So a noun is a person, place, or thing. It's an object, and you want to pick those pick the spaces sort of randomly. Like I said, you don't want to write all 7 in the first 7 spaces. The idea is that they're sort of scattered throughout this grid. Give you just a little bit of time here to pick your 7 nouns and get them filled in. Then, once you have those, the next thing you will do is pick 7 spots at random and put a verb into each. These should be different verbs. You don't need to overthink it, just whatever sort of comes to your mind. We're just filling in a few of these spaces with verbs. So verbs are action words, run, swim, jump, tackle, whatever comes to mind. And once you have those verbs in place, Next, we'll do adjectives. The same thing. Pick 7 different adjectives, put them in 7 spaces scattered throughout your grid. Adjectives are your descriptive words, so shiny, diminutive, gigantic, those sorts of things. And when you're done with that, we'll do adverbs as well. So adverbs describe an action often. So heavily would be an example. They're your ly words. And then the next thing you'll add is pick one space and put the name of a place. And this should be a really specific place, maybe even somewhere that you're familiar with, somewhere that you can picture in your mind, and write that down. And then the last thing would be a scientific concept. And this might sound intimidating, but I think it could be something simple like gravity, entropy, mitosis are the examples that I gave, magnetism, any of these things, just to add a little bit of flavor in here. So. And once you have all of these words written into your grid, we'll move on to the next, which is going to be filling in the rest of the empty spaces in what is going to be your monologue. So you want to leave no spaces empty. You're going to put one word in each of the blanks so that you have a total of 100 words, unless your location was multiple words squished into one. But you should have essentially 100 words, and it will be a 100-word monologue. So I will give you a few minutes to work on this and fill in the rest of those. And I will check back in about 5 minutes. All right, so you should have completed your monologue, filled in all of the words. So congratulations on completing your monologue. One thing that I think is worth talking about is that when we think about characters in a play, we think of them in terms of needs most often. Needs are like objectives. So Hamlet's objective is to avenge the death of his father. Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, her objective is to get home. So as you look at the monologue that you just wrote, can you identify some sort of need that might exist for that character? And maybe it's not right directly in the words. Maybe you have to kind of pull it out a little bit, or think about how, if you were to revise, that might be clearer. But I think that it's useful to think in terms of where might the need be. What is it that this person is after in this monologue? And with that in mind, we'll move on to our next prompt. So in this prompt, we are going to write a very short play. And the first thing that we need to do is close your eyes, and you're going to imagine a place. The first thing that you'll start to see as you close your eyes is the ground. Is it an interior floor? Is it an exterior ground? And that will sort of slowly come to you. And then you might notice the walls, or maybe there are trees or something else on the horizon. The surroundings around you will start to emerge. And take a couple minutes just to envision this place. Maybe it's a laboratory, maybe it's a rehearsal room or a coffee shop. And as the details sort of start to emerge to you, you're going to take a couple minutes just to write down 2 to 3 sentences describing this place. What is it? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What does it look like? Jot down just a few of those details. As you're thinking about this place, you might think about the energy of it. Is there a hustle and bustle? Is it a lot more chill? What are the rhythms that this particular location harbors? And once you've got a few of these details in mind, you notice that there's a person that is doing something in this space. And again, the details start to sort of come to you, that it may start out as a vague blur, but as you look closer, you see this person's face, you see what they look like, and you'll jot down a few of those details about what they look like and what it is they're doing. Are they chopping wood? Are they making food? Are they running experiments, or something totally different? As you are describing this person, you might also include details about their personality. What do they sound like? How do they interact with other people? What sort of status do they have? now after you've got a few details, just 2 or 3 sentences written down about that person, there's another person that enters the space, and this person needs something. So write down just another 2 to 3 sentences about who this person is and what is it that they need. Again, you might think of a balance between what is it they look like and what is it they act like. The need may be something very simple. It could be something as simple as an object that is important to them. It doesn't necessarily need to be avenge my father's death, as it is with Hamlet, but could be something very, very small for a very small play that we're writing. Okay, so this person has entered the space, is pursuing something. Unfortunately, the other person doesn't want to help them with that. They need something else, and so I'm going to give you just 5 or 6 minutes here to write some dialogue between these two people as one person tries to get something and the other person doesn't want to help or needs something else that is in conflict with that. Alrighty, so you have written a little bit of dialogue between these two people. The next step is to end your play, and the way that it's going to end is this person who has entered and tried to get something either gets what they wanted or fails to get what they wanted. They either succeed or they fail. And I'll give you just a minute here to think about how that might happen, and to write that ending. Great. I'd say just take a couple seconds to sort of finish up what line you're writing on. It may not be all the way completed. We were moving through things pretty fast, so this is really just a starting point and a way to use structure to start to develop scripts. Something that you'll notice is that the structure that we've just used is having needs that are in conflict. And that is one of the essential parts of writing a play. One of the other things is how those needs and those conflicts change a character over the course of a play. So I would ask, looking at this very, very short play that you've written, can you identify some way that the character has changed, or that the character might change if you continued to sort of expand this and go write more and revise more on this script? And in what way is this conflict helping your character to make some sort of a change? Thank you so much for creating with us today. The next step is to revise and share your work from today. I also encourage you to head over to tinyurl.com/ignitepoetry, where you can share a single line of poetry that will turn into a larger collaborative poem that we will read at 7 p.m. on Tuesday during the Emerging Writers series. Thank you for coming out, and enjoy the rest of Innovation Week.